Yo, what is going on, everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is your boy Jay brings a brand new video, and in today's video, guys, we are going to be talking about the Patriots and how they looked last night in their preseason Week 2 victory over the Packers. They actually looked pretty good last night. They looked a lot better than they did last week versus the Texans. Like I said, they ended up winning 21-17 over the Packers. We also saw Mac Jones and the starting offense take the field for the first time this season, which was very exciting to see. Real quick, before we get to the video, make sure to like and subscribe if you guys don't want to miss on any future content. Now that football season is here, I'm going to be getting a lot of videos out covering the Patriots and just football in general. And once the regular season starts, I will be getting weekly videos out on predictions, game updates, all of the kind of news going around each week, and just, like I said, lots of videos going out, fantasy videos as well, maybe. A lot of videos are going to be coming out, especially when the regular season starts. So if you guys don't want to miss that, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content. But without further ado, let's just get to the video. Starting off with the offense, you saw most of its first team starters except for the offensive line. The offensive line was still a lot of the second and third stringers. However, we saw the first string receiving core. We saw Mac Jones and we saw Ramondre Stevenson in the first quarter. So a lot of the first stringers were in the first quarter, and they actually went pretty well. Mac Jones went 6 for 9 for 52 yards. 3 drives for him. 1 resulted in a rushing touchdown by Ramondre Stevenson. 1 resulted in a punt, and 1 resulted in Mac Jones getting strip sacked, recovered by the Packers. Overall, though, it was a pretty good and successful night for the first string offense. Like I said, considering the fact that they did not have their starting offensive line, Mac Jones looked very good. He looked very calm, poised, and collected in the pocket. Kendrick Bourne probably had the best night for the receiving core. He had 3 catches on 4 targets for 34 yards, averaging 11.3 yards per catch. His best catch was probably on a slant route. It was an RPO slant route that gained, I think, like 15 yards for a first and goal, which eventually led to the Ramondre Stevenson touchdown. On the first drive, he actually had 2 catches as well. So pretty good night for him. Ramondre Stevenson had a pretty good night as well. 4 rushes for 27 yards and 1 touchdown. We didn't see a whole lot of Juju Smith-Schuster. We only saw 1 catch from him on 1 low-sum target, and that 1 target was on a sweep route, so it only went for 1 yard. So we didn't see much of Juju Smith-Schuster, but like I said, Kendrick Bourne was really the main receiver, at least in the veteran receiving core. That was notable to have a good night. The highlight of the game came in the second quarter when Bailey Zappi connected with Kayshon Boutte on a slant route. Boutte turned it upfield and went 42 yards to the end zone for a touchdown. He turned on the Jets and he was gone. Boutte actually had a pretty good night. He had that catch, which was a 42-yard touchdown pass, or 42-yard touchdown catch, and then he also had 1 more catch for 7 yards. So he had 2 catches, 42 yards, and 1 touchdown to end his night. He actually had a pretty good night, better than last week versus the Texans, and I think he is definitely starting to rise in stock for this Patriots team. Once again, Demario Douglas saw limited snaps last night. He did have 2 catches for 17 yards, and to me, I feel like he's already a guaranteed lock on this team, especially with the limited amount of snaps the Patriots have given him. He's looked great in practice. He's looked great in joint practices, and last night, like I said, 2 catches for 17 yards, nothing special, but I feel like he is already a lock to make the team at this point. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see any Malik Cunningham at quarterback. He was at receiver a little bit, but he didn't have any catches. We did see Bailey Zappi for the rest of the game after Mac Jones' 3 drives. He actually had a pretty good night. He went 10 for 22, 117 yards, 1 passing touchdown, and 1 rushing touchdown. It was a 6-yard rushing touchdown. He had a pretty good night. I think after last week, there was some, debate on him and Malik Cunningham for QB2, and, if Bailey Zappi was going to be moved to QB3, well, I definitely think he solidified himself as the QB2. I don't think he ever lost the QB2 title, but I do think he kind of re-solidified himself after last night, and he had a very good night, and it definitely re-energized and much better showing than last week versus the Texans. The offensive line still struggled heavily from last week into this week. Now, like I said, most of the first team wasn't in. It was a lot of the backups like Andrew Stauber, Sidney So, and Antonio Mafi, and it really was not a great showing for them. Really, the big concern is not the offensive line. I think the offensive line is actually going to be pretty good once it's in. It should be Trent Brown, Cole Strange, David Andrews, right guard, Michael Onwenu, and then right tackle still up for debate. But I think the bigger concern is depth. And if any of those guys get hurt, it's not going to be great. I think we're seeing a lot of these guys, Bill drafted in this draft or just, previous drafts, whatever, the second string, third string, and they're not great. They're not doing great in preseason right now. And we haven't seen much improvement so far. So I think that's the bigger concern is depth. Because like I said, the starting offensive line is pretty good. I think Cole Strange is going to have a great year too. Michael Onwenu is a great right guard. David Andrews has been a staple piece center for a long time. Trent Brown's okay. He's solid, but the big concern that we're continuing to see in preseason is the depth. Guys like Antonio Mafi, Sidney So, who are young, are all rookies. So I think, give them time and maybe they'll develop. But right now, as of this season, I think that is the bigger concern is the depth for the interior offensive line. The tackle position still is a little concerning, especially at right tackle. We really don't know who it's going to be yet. Looking like it could be Riley Reef. I think he's like the front runner right now. But that's the big concern is right tackle and then just depth on the offensive line in general. Moving on to the Patriots defense, who saw their first team starters in as well for a bit. It was actually a bit of an underwhelming night for them. Now, the first drive, they had a fumble recovery, which was a product of a bad snap recovered by Josh Uche. The second and third drive, though, were really the worst drives for the Patriots defense. The second drive was an 84-yard passing drive off 5 completions for Jordan Love, and then the third drive was a 57-yard sequence, which resulted in a touchdown run by Patrick Taylor. Really, the main concern for the Patriots defense was their defensive front, stopping the run game. They really did a horrible job last night. Emmanuel Wilson had 15 carries for 63 yards, 4.2 average. A.J. Dillon had 6 carries for 25 yards. Patrick Taylor had 4 for 12 and a touchdown. So really, that was the big concern, was the Patriots defensive front stopping the run game. They didn't do a very good job last night, hoping that can improve in future weeks. And even just pressure on Jordan Love wasn't much of that either. He had a lot of time in the pocket. And Jordan Love actually looked really good last night from what we saw. Same thing with Sean Clifford. But it just was the defensive front wasn't that great last night. So hoping to see some improvement next week versus the Titans. Moving on to the final event last night, the game was actually ended with 10:29 to go in the fourth quarter due to a result of Isaiah Bolden getting hurt. He actually had to be taken off the field in an ambulance to a hospital. He collided with another Patriots player on a play on a slant route, and he kind of hit his neck head area, and he was unconscious. He wasn't moving at all. He was on the ground for several minutes, and then the medical staff finally got him on a stretcher, put him in an ambulance, and he left. He actually fortunately was released from the hospital, I think either very early this morning or late last night. And it says he is doing better. He has motion and movement in all of his main ligaments and whatever. I don't really know what it's called, but he is doing better. But it was a very scary thing to see last night because he was not moving at all. He was out cold on the ground for several minutes. Even when they put him on the stretcher, one of the Packers medical staff reported that he wasn't moving at all then. His eyes were closed. He still wasn't conscious. So it was a very scary moment. And then after that, Matt LaFleur and Bill Belichick came together and agreed that they should just go ahead and call the preseason game as it was. So the final being 21-17, it still was 10 minutes left. Obviously, you hate to see a game in that way. Thankfully, like I said, Isaiah Bolden reportedly is looking much better now. He was released from the hospital. He has movement in all of his main areas that you need to have movement, I guess. So that's a very positive sign for him. The Patriots actually did announce earlier today they are canceling their joint practice with the Titans this upcoming week as well. They play them next week in preseason. They announced that they are canceling them as well. I think it definitely was as a repercussion of Isaiah Bolden's injury. So you hope he's okay. It sounds like he's okay, but that was the final event that ended the game last night. And it does sound, based off what I'm reading this morning, he is doing better, and he actually is flying home with the team back to Boston. But yeah, guys, that is going to be it for me. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of the Patriots last night, where you think they looked really good, where you think they could definitely use some improvement, what you think of the first team offense and defense, and just overall how you think the Patriots will do this season. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, because like I said, when the NFL season, regular season gets here, I'm going to be posting a lot of content, a lot of prediction videos, not just for the Patriots, but for every team each week. Content on all the news, trade rumors, all of that good stuff. So make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of that. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy Jay, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.